trying to get out of the way of that thing. It's the opposite.
Back here live, CRS 2024. Got me a hat here and some cool stuff in here too as well. Can't wait to open this little gift here again. KKTC True Country 99.9 and our friends at HighTideCountry.net. This is Ken Domash joining us here. Thanks for these gifts, man.
Cool. No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Where'd that
It's
go?
a bucket hat.
A bucket hat.
A little wristband, a little thing to keep your keys from getting lost on the boat.
I need this from the boat, yes.
Some aviator sunglasses so you can go fishing.
Put the Ray-Bans on, a little bit of Ken Domash hat. You got some fishing going on right there too as well.
With the bucket hat, your ears don't get burned.
Exactly. The ears don't get burned too as well.
Side burn.
How's CRS been so far?
I love it. It's been great.
This is a crazy event too. This is what, the fifth one I think that I've done with Cat. It's just crazy how this thing, because they all pop in at the same time. It's like, and you were saying earlier, you're like a cold.
We know each other, man. I've showed up a couple times. I'm like, just
he's coming in. He's coming in.
I'm like a cat waiting to go to the bathroom,
like a panther on the prowl, just ready to strike, out there too as well. Let's talk some
music.
You've
had some really incredible people coming through here too.
Hey man, it's a whirlwind. I think it's Cat and all these great people out there, the publicists, the managers, the record labels, the people that really set this up, man. That's how I put this brand together for 5 years. I don't know. It's crazy. They work with the best of the best. Music-wise, 2024. Tell us all about it. What you're excited about?
Yeah, big year for me. It's going to be fun. So coming out of 2023, had my release If I Was a Beer, made top 40. Cannot be more thrilled. Had a song, Drink About That, just coming off of that. Got number 42. Oh, it's so close.
So close, top 40.
I love it. I mean, and anybody that watches this stuff knows that's an enormous accomplishment. And more plays, more spins, just not as high. There's a lot of brilliant talent out there. And did a Christmas song at the end of the year. That went really well. That was fun. And right now, tomorrow, this is live, right?
It is live.
Tomorrow.
There it is.
Imagining drops.
On
all streaming
platforms.
And it'll be out to radio on Monday morning. So, the timing on this is the old
perfect, yes.
on your desk after CRS type thing for the program director. So, Imagining's their song.
Which is good there, too. And what I like about it, too, is another song I get to check out. More work here on the Backstage Pass, too, to listen to it and give an opinion and a song review, which I love to do. Hey, we're doing a cool thing tomorrow night, Show Dog and Friends at Wild Beaver over there, too. It's to raise money for childhood cancer. Toby Keith and our tribute show with him. And, of course, OK Kids Corral was a big charity for him, too, which all the donations tomorrow night go to his charity. And we're going to put Trailer Choir back together for the first time since 2010. Big Vinny, of course, Mark Butterfortney and Crystal Hoyt, and a whole bunch of former label mates are coming out there. It's going to be a fun time for us and broadcasting live and doing the show out there, too. Who knows who's going to show up. But
awesome.
For you and the impact, the legend, 32 number one hits, 30 years in the business, what Toby Keith meant to you and meant to country music.
What Toby Keith, nobody knows any of these stories. So, I've never met Toby Keith. Okay. But when I first got into music, I would go to this little bar dive down the street where I was just learning how to do music. And I'd watch who is now a friend of mine playing that gig, right? He would play a lot of Toby Keith songs. So it's like, that's what I got goosebumps telling you, man. Just like, that's what I kind of got into the industry, leaning into, hearing Red Solo Cup. And, he doesn't have any idea that he meant a lot and inspired me that way. I don't know how else to say that. It's like, I feel like I know him through his music, which is the neatest thing. I've got so many goosebumps going on. You feel like you know him through his music, and it's very much of an inspiration, and it's enormously sad too. I mean, just watching the last few months of his life is just so sad.
Gone too soon, no doubt, too, but in a better place. We're all going to be there one day, no doubt. I wanted to ask you about the songwriting process.
Say something else?
Go for it, yeah.
Is that tonight? Is tonight or tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, we're going to be at the Wild Beaver, yeah.
The Wild Beaver. I got to tell you this, too.
Go for it.
Had a song in 2010, got up to number 55 on Billboard Indicator called Drink About That. I'm sorry, that's the song I said, sorry. Called Ding Dang Darn It. And I wrote Ding Dang Darn It. I was at a gig at the Wild Beaver.
Really?
And
that's funny how that worked out.
A friend artist was performing, and I set my drink down, and there was like something in the way, and it was a boot. I'm like, what? And I look up, I'm like, oh, snap. So there were girls dancing. I was like doing the whole, and I'm like, and I had this whole song like, ding, dang, darn it, And that was inspired. When you said that, I was like, how funny,
What a title for
I got a song from that bar. You get songs from everywhere. So you were just going to
No, it leads into the question about the songwriting, because I was actually at a show last year in Beaumont, where I'm from, down there in Texas, that we had Crystal Gale. Got to meet her, talk to her a little bit. Just a fantastic. Met her husband. We got to chat about songwriting, and of course, if anybody knows about that, it's her, and of course, the legends, Toby Keith, and other ones too as well. And I've talked to so many great people here on the show too as well about that. The process of it, what's your favorite about songwriting?
as far as like sitting down, I've just have come off of 3 months of just solid songwriting. So it's funny you asked that because the album I have that's coming out May 3rd. I mean, everybody knows you've got an album coming out, but you drip them for a year now, right? That one, it was inspired by being at the rooftop of Dirk Bentley's down here on Broadway. And my wife and I started in this cool little like speakeasy dive bar, and they're like, "Would you like another drink?" I'm like, "Oh no, we're on a mission from God." And we ended up on top of Dirk's, just like going crazy. I'm like, I want my album. I don't know if they pump extra bass in or what, but I was like, I want my album to have that cool vibe, right? So every song on it has that extra bass. Right now, just coming off of a whole batch of songwriting, for some reason I'm really into that whole idea of people getting up and dancing to it, and that line dance flavor. I don't know if that's a thing. I hope I make it a thing again. That whole 90s, boot scoot and boogie feel. So as far as songwriting, I think I've got some titles. I'm actually trying to trademark some of the song titles because I think they're so unique, and so you think that's got to be something already, but it's not. So the hook is leading a lot of the songs.
You bring up some good points about that too, because kind of a good segue here. We're just I love it, the conversational style. But the 90s country, guys like Randall King, who's endorsed my show, and others out there, John Michael Montgomery. This guy, Zach Top, is doing pretty good out there right now. Zach Top is starting to blow up. 3 Chords in the Truth. He may be here somewhere too. I just had him on my show a couple of weeks ago. He might have been here too. But a guy that's a fantastic singer. Sounds Like the Radio was one of the big songs, most added one to country radio at the beginning of January this year. How important is this 90s resurgence coming back to bring these lyrics and these 3 Chords in the Truth back to music even now?
So back up the bus. You're telling me it's already a thing that's coming back?
I think so. He's doing it, and so is Randall King. I mean, back up the bus all the way because, hey, that's what I grew up on. I mean, that's what I love, Ken. I just literally said to myself, I'm like, I was just talking to a guy who does line dance choreography. I'm like, what's a really good BPM? Because I've got some of mine at 140 and 150 because I want to just get out there and go. So I would say the songwriting thing, it's so funny. It's like you don't know you're connected to what's going on, like in the airwaves in a way. And that is just in my head. So if I'm that lucky, I'm going into studio in 3 weeks to cut the whole album. And I decided I wanted to have a whole vibe for that. My mom and dad did a whole lot of line dancing. Before I was even before I knew music, took my dad to New York. I'm like, hey, we got to get you a hat. You and mom are country dancing. He goes, why are we going to New York? I'm like, we can visit, your daughter, my sister. She had moved to New Jersey, and we're like walking. I don't know how much time we got. We're walking the streets of New York after I got him a big old black Stetson hat, right? And we're walking the streets, and he goes, "Hey, here's a underground. It's like an underground. It was huge, big bar. It was like, I'm like, I don't even remember where I am. And I'm like, okay, there's 2 guys out there with like bandanas in their back pockets doing their whole thing, right? And I'm like, don't do it, Dad. Just let those guys. All of a sudden, I turn, he's gone. He's down there adding steps to it until they're almost tripping over themselves, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, So he comes back. I'm like, Dad, what? And all of a sudden, these girls come walking over. And I'm like, okay, they're looking at me. They walk right past me like I'm invisible, right to my dad. I'm like, you gotta be. So line dancing makes you cool, huh? Anyway, that's like in my head. It's in my DNA. And the whole album has, matter of fact, some of the names I can put out there, Shuffle Along. I've been writing that song for over 10 years. Wow.
Finally nailed it. Got the BPM right. And Shuffle Along. I mean, does that not sound like...
That's yes.
So I cannot, but ironically, I just came from the Ryman where one of these great artists didn't play their next single. He's like, I'm writing an album. I'm going to play off of that. It's not even recorded. Here I am talking about an album that's not even out yet, too. But he played it, and it was amazing. So, anywho, we have a song coming out, Imagining. We have an album coming out, but I'm already writing for the next one.
That's crazy. Musicians never rest on their laurels. When it comes down to it, there's always something new coming out. Hey, I love it. Ken Domash, backstage pass here to KKTC True Country 99.9. And our friends at HighTideCountry.net. We got probably 1 or 2 more coming up here in a little bit. And we're going to the Doghouse Live 6 to 10 coming up here at the SportsGuysPodcast.com. More to come. CRS 2024 Day 2 rolls on.